Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
Downsides of living in Italy.
Offers a lot of upsides. Apart from its world-famous Mediterranean cuisine, its rich
It's
history,
when
culture,
the
and
water
pleasant
comes
climate,
up.
it is home to among the most hospitable people that make you
I didn't
quickly
like
feel
that
at
too
home.
much.
Italy's vibrant cities, small towns in the countryside, or idyllic villages at the sea have enough for you to offer. Additionally, Italians have among the longest life expectancy and enjoy a high quality of life. So it's not surprising that Italy's Dolce
pretty.
Vita attracts foreigners from
Wow.
all over the world. Today, over 5 million foreign residents are living in Italy, most of which come from Romania, Albania, and Morocco. Nevertheless, as in any country, there are a few drawbacks that you will need to consider in case you are interested in moving to Italy. Let us dive into the first downside, which is the labor market. Italy's unemployment rate sits at almost 10%, with a youth unemployment rate of almost 30%. However, economists dispute the official figures because of the large number of informal jobs. Additionally, there are big regional differences throughout Italy. In the
Informal
country's
jobs.
south and in
So
Sardinia,
they don't get money from those informal
What's
jobs?
that? That's illegals?
Oh, I was thinking
What
like
is
the
informal jobs?
TikTok, social media.
Oh, but that's like self-employed. It's still a job,
Yeah.
though.
I don't know if they report. I don't know.
To me, how I understood informal jobs is illegal jobs. Like, paid under the table, basically.
unemployment rates are much higher than in central and northern Italy. Still, if you are interested in moving to Italy, then it is best to either have enough savings accumulated or to work remotely. Being self-employed also is recommended, as finding work in Italy
I think you should work remotely if you move to a country, because I don't feel like you should take labor away from the people, that if they're already struggling like that with the labor market, I don't think you should, come in and try to take away from the people that actually live there. I feel like the only way to move in is
Unless
if
you're teaching like English.
yeah, sure, but if you like want to do like, I don't know, work in a factory, let's say, I don't think
Oh.
you should let the Italians do that's
It
their.
would be quite difficult.
Well,
You
you
would
will
have
have
to
to know
know
the language,
language.
yeah. But I just hypothetical example. But I feel like the only way to move there would be if you have like a remote job or you're like a self-employed, that type of stuff.
especially in the south, is challenging. The lack of job opportunities is also the reason why many young Italians decide to move to the country's economically strong Po Valley, or even decide to leave the country for good. The next drawback is Italy's high cost of living. That's right, Italy isn't really famous for its high living costs, but they are not as low as many people think. Living in Milano, for instance,
Yeah, and this was a little shocking when we did the restaurant food reactions. It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. I thought it would be cheaper.
is almost 20% more expensive than living in Vienna. To be
Oh,
fair,
wow.
Milano is among the most expensive cities in Italy, with Rome, the capital, being 13% less expensive. Generally, the further south you go, the less expensive your life will be,
This is
but on the other
pity.
hand, there will be fewer jobs and economic activity. Certain things are especially expensive, for instance, internet and phone plans, amenities, or the roughly 10% additional costs when buying property in Italy. In any case, it makes sense to inform yourself about the living costs of the place where you plan to settle down. Additionally, keep in mind that touristic areas come
It's
with
so
an extra
interesting
price
that a building that was accidentally made crooked is still standing.
tag. As in many other countries in Europe, you will need to deal with high taxes. Regarding income tax, keep in mind that you will need to pay 43% on income above 75,000 euros. This doesn't pose a strong incentive to pursue a good career and to make a lot of money. The value-added tax rate sits at 22%, which almost is equal to Sweden's, Norway's, or Denmark's 25% value-added tax rate. There are reduced tax rates of 10% for water supplies, passenger transport, cultural activities, hotels and restaurants, and 5% for some foodstuff and social services. And apart from the high value-added tax rate, Italy also taxes your foreign income. This is especially relevant for freelancers or retirees. If you are planning to move to Italy while having an income stream from abroad, make sure to keep this in mind. On the other hand, Italy has a variety of tax reduction programs in place that create incentives for people to move to Italy. Any taxpayer is entitled a 70% exemption on the income received for the first 5 years of tax residency to Italy. The exemption is increased to 90% if the taxpayer resides in a southern region of Italy. The regime is extended for further 5 years if the taxpayer either has a family member younger than 18 years living in Italy, or if the taxpayer purchases a residential property in Italy. This is good to keep in mind, and make sure to
That's not a bad incentive. So what, you basically extend to 15 years paying at a low tax rate, especially like if south of Italy for 15 years paying at 90% reduction? That's not bad at all. That's a great tax incentive. Wow, to kind of bring more economic activity to south of Italy and maybe have more investment from abroad, to buy houses and whatnot. No, that's a nice incentive. That's not a downside. That's a plus, I would say.
make use of such a program when moving to Italy. The next downside of moving to Italy is its bureaucracy. Again, this drawback is not
Yeah,
limited
we've
to
seen
Italy, but
this.
it's a drawback that is present in many countries worldwide. Italy's government and agencies move at a snail's pace. When you have administrative tasks to complete, then the bureaucracy will most likely get in your way. If you need to sign any document related to living or working here, then you may hire a lawyer, especially if you
But
cannot speak
honestly,
Italian.
here in the States too, it's like everywhere. Bureaucracy is slow, period.
This brings us to the language barrier. While you can comfortably live in Italy's largest cities or touristic regions by only speaking English, this is not necessarily the case in Italy's rural regions. You'll discover that in the countryside only few people are fluent in English. Especially elderly only speak Italian. In any case, it makes sense for you to start learning Italian if you are interested in moving to Italy. This not only allows you to better connect with locals, but it is also a sign that you are interested in integrating yourself into Italian society. While healthcare in Italy is subsidized by the government, you need to expect long waits for healthcare. If you need to see a specialist, you could be waiting for weeks. There aren't a ton of specialists available, so expect long waits for specialized treatment. Italy's warm Mediterranean climate is one of the main reasons why it is so popular among foreigners. And while the climate indeed is generally pleasant, there are still some downsides to it. The heat in the summer can be unbearable, especially in the south. There is a reason why Romans, for instance, flee Rome in the summer to head to the countryside or the sea. The heat also causes massive bushfires. I experienced one myself while being in Italy, so make sure to be aware about this danger.
didn't know
And maybe
that.
it's better not
About the fires? I was not aware of the fires like that either, yeah.
to buy a property located in the woods. As in other countries in the south of Europe, Italians have more of a relaxed attitude towards life. This is valued by foreigners who settle down in Italy, but still it is something that you will need to get used to. The slow pace of life may result in problems not being addressed immediately. While Italy's large cities are vibrant and hectic, the more laid-back and decelerated lifestyle can be experienced outside of the cities. Once you get used to it, you'll be just fine. Italy is visited by more than 64 million people annually, making it the world's 5th most visited country. So it is not surprising that some cities suffer from massive tourism and all the implications that come with it. Take Venice as an example. About 250,000 people are living in Venice, and yet it welcomes about 10,000 tourists a day, or about 30 million tourists a year. It kind of is a double-edged sword.
Yeah, living in Venice, I don't want to live in there. It's nice. It's something to sightsee, to visit, but I think living there is with all the tourism. I don't. Oof. Yeah, I don't know.
While tourism brings in a lot of business, and it's great that the beauty of Venice can be experienced by so many people, it also comes with
they
inconveniences.
feel it in their economy positively.
I think so. Tourism brings in money, so I think a lot of people that live there work in tourism. That's what I would think, yeah.
For the local population, such as pollution and noise. But as you probably will not move to such a touristic hotspot like Venice, this downside is not likely to affect you. While it isn't fair to expect century-old cities to be spotless, Italy does have a problem with grime in some regions. This is a result of the combination of overcrowding, mass tourism, and an inefficient approach to proper rubbish collection. This is especially true
Like
for
grimy?
high-volume tourist cities such as Rome, Florence, and Milano. Since
Maybe
Italy
it's
offers
not
such a
some beautiful
historically
part.
rich
What is trash all over the place? That's not because you said rubbish collection. So like, is it trashy? There's a lot of trash all over the place. We have seen that in the other guy who lives in Italy. He does say that when you go to southern Italy more, it's not as nice areas. The more south you go, that's what he said.
and diverse cuisine, it can be difficult to find international cuisine outside of Italy's big cities. If you get homesick for a taste of home, or you simply want to try something new, you may have to search a bit harder and pay a bit more. International grocery stores are few and far between, and it is recommended to pack some nostalgic food from home to bring with you to Italy. Another point to consider is old infrastructure. While Italy has a dense road network and a high-speed rail network connecting many of Italy's big cities, you can come across poor road conditions. Ponte Morandi, for instance, was a bridge near Genova that collapsed in 2018, resulting in 43 deaths. This incident raised concerns about the general condition of the infrastructure in Italy, France, and Germany, suggesting that a significant number of bridges are in need of renovation or replacement. Infrastructure investment in Italy was reduced dramatically after the 2008 financial crisis. A resident of Genova told reporters, "The central government will scapegoat the bridge company, the company will scapegoat someone else. They are all to blame. We all know how bad our infrastructure is in Italy. It is not as bad as portrayed right now, and you don't have to fear for your life when traversing a bridge." Related to road conditions, beware that driving in Italy can be quite stressful. Locals are not famous for strictly adhering to driving rules. But as always, if you are concentrated and drive responsibly,
I feel like that's like the more south you go, it's always like that. It gets like that. It's, just kind of part of the culture, I guess, you know.
then you'll be fine. Italy is a hotspot of tectonic activity. The African plate colliding with the European plate results in many earthquakes in Italy and the surrounding region. This will most probably not affect you personally, but it is still good to be aware about the fact that two tectonic plates are colliding just in front of Italy's doorstep. As always, the last downside is a bit of a fun fact. You may find yourself not wanting to leave Italy, because despite of the few drawbacks, the quality of life in Italy is amazing. The food is delicious, the people are friendly, and it's a great place to have a good life. So enjoy your time and make use of all the benefits Italy has to offer. Did I
Cool video. I think he did a good job outlining everything. Yeah.
I wonder if living there, do you experience the food like through restaurants, or you end up having, you know, when you make your own food?
I think if you live as a not as a tourist, as a person, I think you make your own food. Maybe go out once a week on a weekend, you know. But I think as you make your own food for the most part.
Okay. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, share as much kindness as possible.